Chosen one, you are not reading these words by accident. Something in your spirit pulled you here, at this exact moment, in this exact state of mind, with the exact questions and fears and quiet hopes you have been carrying in secret for years. Heaven has been watching you circle the same mountain again and again, watching you get close to breakthrough, only to see it slip through your fingers at the last moment. And this is the moment where that pattern begins to crack. Marcus did not know any of that when the countdown began for him. He did not know that invisible clocks had been ticking over his life for more than a decade, measuring not seconds and minutes, but betrayals and delays, stolen opportunities and silent tears. All he knew was that his phone screen was glowing in the dark of his tiny apartment, and a banking app that had mocked him for years with double digits was suddenly asking him to verify a transfer that did not make sense. Transfer pending. Verification required. 60 seconds remaining. For a second he thought it was a glitch, some cruel joke of technology, another false alarm in a life made up of almost moments. But the timer kept ticking, numbers dropping one by one like heartbeats. 59, 58, 57. His thumb hovered over the button, and yet he did not press it, because something deeper than logic told him that this was not just about money. This was about something that had been held back, something that had been stolen, something that had been fought over in a realm he could not see. He sat on the edge of his sagging mattress and tried to breathe. The air was thick, heavy with summer heat, and the stale smell of cheap instant noodles. The ceiling above him was cracked, stained with water damage from the apartment above, a familiar map of failure he had stared at too many sleepless nights. His chest felt tight, like a band was wrapped around it. It was not fear, not exactly. It was recognition. The sense that all the closed doors, all the "we went with another candidate," all the "sorry, your application was not successful this time," were lining up behind this moment. He did not know it, but as the timer hit 53 seconds, two people were awake thinking about him. One, miles away in a modest house, knelt beside her bed with old knees pressed into worn carpet, whispering his name to the Most High, and asking again, as she had asked every night for 12 years, "Please, do something for my grandson before it's too late." The other, in a luxury condo with city lights reflected in spotless glass, paced from room to room, phone in hand, voice sharp, trying to reach a banker who would not answer, sensing that something he had done long ago was finally catching up. And while your eyes move across this line, know this: before these words reach their end, 4 ancient forces that have been choking your finances and blocking your path will be called by name, one by one, and exposed for what they are. But they will not be named yet, because if you hear their names too soon, you will treat them like ideas instead of chains. 48 hours earlier, Marcus had not been thinking about destiny or curses or invisible wars. He had been thinking about rent. The orange paper taped to his door at dawn had changed the way the world sounded. Even the traffic outside felt louder, more hostile, like the city itself was tired of him clinging to its edges. Final notice: vacate premises by Thursday 11:59 p.m. or face legal action. The words were printed in bold block letters, but what his mind saw was simpler. You have 48 hours to stop being a failure. He stood barefoot in the hallway, the paper fluttering slightly in the draft from the stairwell, and felt a dull numbness spread through his chest. This was not the first time he had been late on rent. It was not the first notice. But something about this one felt different. Final. The word dug into him. Final. As if some unseen ledger had reached its limit. As if grace had run out. His phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. Unknown number. He almost ignored it. Unknown numbers meant debt collectors with scripted sympathy and dead eyes, reminding him of hospital bills from the night his chest had hurt so badly he thought he was dying, only to be told it was just anxiety, and handed a packet of breathing exercises and a bill large enough to choke on. But something in him said, "Answer." "Hello? Marcus Bennett?" A woman's voice, older, uncertain but purposeful. "That's me. My name is Catherine Reeves. I worked with your grandfather many years ago." She paused, as if testing whether that name still carried weight. "I was his secretary at the law office. My grandfather's been dead 12 years, Marcus said slowly. "I know." Another pause, breath quickening on the line. "That's why I need to see you today. There's something you were supposed to receive from him, something that never reached you, and I believe you have very little time left before someone tries again to make sure you never see it." The words seemed to pass straight through his ears and land in his bones. "What are you talking about?" "In person," she insisted, "not over the phone. There's a cafe near the old courthouse on 7th. 2 hours from now. I'll be there. Please, Marcus. Your grandfather came to me in a dream last night. He said, 'Tell him before it's too late. He has 48 hours. There it was again. The number that had appeared on his door at dawn now echoed in the mouth of a stranger. 48 hours. He looked at the eviction notice. He looked at the empty cupboards. He looked at his reflection in the dark microwave door and saw a man who had been running on fumes for years. 'I'll come,' he said. 'Hold that detail, those 48 hours, that dream, for later. It will matter far more than you think. What looks like coincidence now will turn out to be precise timing, and the pattern will not be visible until you look back from the other side.' The cafe on 7th smelled like burnt coffee and sugar glaze. Marcus arrived early out of long habit. When you grew up always being compared to an older brother who was dazzling and on time and overachieving, you learned to grab any small virtue you could. Being early felt like one of the few things he could control. He ordered a black coffee he could not really afford, and chose a table in the back where he could see the door. Catherine recognized him before he recognized her. She was in her 70s, hair pulled back into a tidy bun, cardigan despite the heat. The kind of woman who had spent decades behind desks and knew exactly where everything should be. Her eyes found him, widened with something like relief and guilt knotted together, and she hurried over with a heavy-looking purse clutched against her side. "Marcus," she said, sitting opposite him. "You look just like him when he was your age. Thomas, your grandfather." He did not know what to say to that, so he said nothing. "I should have called you years ago." Her fingers shook as she unzipped the purse. "I should have done this the week he died, but I was afraid, and the longer I waited, the more afraid I became. Last night, the fear finally lost." She slid a worn manila envelope onto the table between them, but kept her hand resting on it, as if someone might sprint through the door and snatch it away. Her voice dropped. "This is your grandfather's last will, the real one, not the one that was filed in court." The canned music in the cafe faded into a hum. Somewhere behind him, a barista knocked over a stack of cups, but Marcus barely heard it. All he could see was the rectangle of paper on the table and the way Catherine's hand trembled. The will that was filed left everything to your brother, didn't it? She asked quietly. The house, the savings, the investments. He nodded once. That wasn't what Thomas decided, Catherine said. 3 weeks before he died, he called me into his home office. He said he'd been watching you. He said, Daniel will always be all right. But Marcus has something fragile in him, something honest. I need to make sure life doesn't grind that out of him. He revoked the old will and signed a new one. This one, everything split equally, 50-50. He made me witness. Marcus's stomach lurched. Then why? Because the day after the funeral, she interrupted, that new will vanished from the office safe. The only people who had access were the partners, and Daniel, as junior partner and executor. A week later, an older will, one that left everything to Daniel, was filed instead. When I asked questions, I got visits. Men I did not recognize, who knew too much about my late husband's malpractice suit and my daughter's teaching job. They didn't threaten me directly. They didn't need to. I understood what would happen if I did not keep quiet. She lifted her hand. The envelope lay between them, stained at the corners, the paper inside yellowed, but intact. I did the one cowardly, brave thing I could think of. I made an unauthorized copy that night before the funeral, and I took it home. I told myself I was being foolish. I told myself I would burn it, but I never did. And now Thomas has been in my dreams 2 nights in a row, saying the same thing. Give it to Marcus. Time is almost up. Marcus opened the envelope with fingers that did not feel like his own. The document inside bore his grandfather's name, his looping, old-fashioned signature. 2 witnesses, Catherine's name, a notary seal. Words that shook the foundations of the story he had been telling himself for 12 years, that his grandfather had simply loved Daniel more. That success had always been destined to skip over him. To my grandsons, Marcus Alexander Bennett and Daniel Thomas Bennett, I leave my entire estate to be divided equally. The numbers that followed were surreal. The house value, the savings, the investments, the life insurance. The half that should have gone to him was more than everything he had earned in all the years since. $500,000, conservatively, likely more if it had been invested. He stole it, Marcus said, voice thin. Daniel stole it. Catherine nodded once. And built his company on it. I checked. The timeline matches. Initial capital for his consulting firm, the house purchase, the car. All of it funded in the year after your grandfather's death. Funded by money that was never his to begin with. A hot, sour taste filled Marcus's mouth. He remembered the texts Daniel had sent over the years. Hey, little bro, thought you could use this, with a screenshot of $100 transfer. The jokes about how not everyone is meant to be an entrepreneur. The smile that always carried just a trace of pity. And as you sit with that revelation, feel the echo in your own story. You may not have a brother who forged a will, but you have known this flavor of theft. The promotion that vanished. The client who chose someone else and then used your ideas. The family member who smiled at you in public while cutting off your inheritance in private. Catherine reached into her purse again and slid a business card across the table. I spoke to a lawyer this morning, James Crawford. I didn't give him your name, just the situation. He said the civil case is strong, and the criminal one might be even stronger. If you move quickly, if you are willing to fight. Fight. The word felt strange in his mouth. She met his eyes. Your brother is already nervous. His assistant called the old office yesterday asking about document retention policies. Someone told him the past isn't as buried as he thought. He will move to protect himself. If you hesitate, you give him time to hide assets, to prepare a defense, to turn the narrative against you. But if you act now, while heaven's timing and the law's timing finally align, she let the sentence hang. Marcus looked at the card. James Crawford, estate and fraud litigation, a phone number, an address in a skyscraper he had passed 100 times but never entered. The image of his eviction notice burned in his mind. 48 hours. The same number Catherine's dream had carried. Something inside him, long dormant, shifted. Not hope exactly. Something more dangerous. Resolve. He left the cafe with the envelope tucked under his arm, the card in his pocket, and the taste of old coffee on his tongue. The city felt slightly off, like the angles of the buildings had tilted just enough to make everything unfamiliar. He sat in his car outside, staring at the steering wheel, and dialed the number. Crawford and Associates, a receptionist answered. "My name is Marcus Bennett," he said. "I think my brother stole my inheritance." They put him through. Crawford's voice was brisk, already moving. "Can you come in now?" the attorney asked. "Not tomorrow. Now. This kind of case, timing is everything." As Marcus drove downtown, weaving through traffic he barely registered, that phrase repeated in his mind. Timing is everything. His grandfather's dreams, Catherine's delay, the 12 years of grinding nothing, the orange paper on his door, the words, 48 hours, you're still here. Good. That means your spirit recognizes itself in this winding path. Most people check out when the story gets too close to their own pain. They slam shut the door when they sense their excuses might not survive what comes next. But you haven't turned away, which tells heaven something important about you. James Crawford's office was on the 20th floor, behind glass doors and a marble lobby that smelled faintly of lemon polish and quiet power. Marcus felt out of place in his faded jeans and scuffed shoes, but the receptionist smiled at him with professional warmth and directed him to a corner office with a sweeping view of the city. Crawford was younger than Marcus expected, with a close-cropped beard and eyes that moved fast. He took the envelope without ceremony, skimmed the contents with the efficiency of someone who had seen many lies and a few rare, clean truths. "Notary looks legitimate," he murmured. "Witness signatures consistent. Date stamps in order." He glanced up. "And this will was never filed?" "No," Marcus said. "The one that was read left everything to my brother. This one, I didn't know it existed until today." Crawford tapped the desk with the back of his pen. "Your brother is a partner at the old firm, correct?" "Was," Marcus said. "Junior partner when my grandfather died. Now he owns his own consultancy. And he was executor of the estate." "Yes." Crawford leaned back, the pen now still. "On a scale of 1 to 10, he said, "this is a 9.5 fraud case in your favor. We have a later will, witnesses, a plausible motive, a clear paper trail of where the money went and how your brother used it. The statute of limitations on civil claims is tight, but on criminal fraud, we have more room. The key is speed. If we move before he can liquidate or shuffle assets, we can freeze his accounts. We can make it very inconvenient for him to pretend nothing happened." Marcus exhaled slowly. "What does that look like?" "It looks like this," Crawford said. "You sign a retainer. Today, I file a criminal complaint with the district attorney. Today, I file a civil suit and an emergency motion to freeze your brother's assets. today. Then I call his lawyer and inform him that we have evidence his client filed a false will and stole your inheritance. And I give them a choice: cooperate and make restitution, or fight and risk jail time and public disgrace. The word jail landed with strange weight. Marcus had pictured confrontation, maybe courtrooms. He had not pictured bars and orange jumpsuits. Would that actually happen? Crawford's gaze was steady. Judges do not like people who abuse the probate system. Juries like them even less. And your brother is exactly the kind of defendant a DA likes to make an example of. White collar, respectable on the surface, rot underneath. If they pursue charges, he has a lot to lose. His business, his license, his freedom, his reputation. And what about me? Marcus asked quietly. What could I actually get back? Crawford turned to his computer, fingers flying over keys. Your half was roughly $557,000 at the time, he said. Invested according to the will's instructions, compounding over 12 years. Conservatively, we're looking at around 1.2 million. That's just the base. Add damages, interest, loss of opportunity. He glanced back over his shoulder. We can justify a demand north of 2 million. Whether we get all of it depends on your brother's liquidity and how badly he wants to stay out of prison. 2 million. The number hovered in the air like something obscene and fragile at the same time. Marcus had never had more than a few $1,000s in savings before a crisis wiped it out. He had sold his car to pay medical bills. He had moved 3 times because of rent hikes. 2 million was beyond imagination. But the part that made his pulse pound was not the size. It was the word just, justified, as if the universe for once was not tilted entirely against him. He signed the retainer with a hand that had stopped shaking somewhere in the middle of the conversation. Understand something, Crawford said as he slid the papers into a folder. Your brother will not take this quietly. He will call you unstable. He will dredge up every bad decision you've ever made and wave it around like proof that you're not trustworthy. He may try to contact you directly, manipulate you into dropping this. He may send other people to do it. From this moment on, you are at war, Marcus. Spiritual and legal. Marcus thought of all the years he had avoided conflict, all the times he had swallowed anger because peace was easier than standing up for himself. Something old in him wanted to fold even now, to say, it's not worth it. But that voice felt thinner than it used to, quieter. I've been at war for years without knowing it, he said. At least now I can see the battlefield. Crawford's mouth tugged into a brief, approving smile. Good. Go home. Rest if you can. I'll call when I file. And Marcus? Yeah? Sometimes justice moves slower than we like. Sometimes it moves faster than we're ready for. Be prepared for either. Can you feel it building? The pressure, the sense that something is about to snap. That's not just narrative tension. That's your own spirit recognizing the pattern. Long years of nothing, followed by days where everything happens at once. You have lived versions of this, even if the numbers and names were different. By the time Marcus stepped back onto the street, the sun was beginning to sink, turning the glass towers into sheets of molten gold. His phone buzzed. 3 missed calls. The caller ID made his throat close for a moment. Rachel. He had not seen that name on his screen in 3 years. He had done everything he could to erase it from his life. Deleted old photos, blocked her on social media, refused to ask their mutual friends about her. But the contact still sat in his phone book like a bruise. Rachel. Don't answer. He listened to the first voicemail in the shadow of the building. Cars streaming past. People living lives that did not feel like precarious balancing acts. Marcus, it's me. I know I'm the last person you want to hear from, but please, I need to talk to you. It's about Daniel. It's about the will. Call me back. The second, I'm serious. This isn't some emotional thing. It's important. He's panicking. He's already making calls. You need to know what he's planning. The third, more urgent, voice frayed. I know what he did. I know how he did it. And I know what he's about to do to you. Don't go home without talking to me first. He saved them without fully deciding to. The streetlights were blinking on. Somewhere not far away, someone's dog barked at nothing. The city did not care that his life was cracking open, but heaven did. Hell did. And evidently, so did the woman who had once held his face in her hands and promised him she would never hurt him, then walked out of his apartment and into his brother's arms. Marcus did not call her back. Not yet. He drove instead, letting his hands steer purely by habit, and ended up at a park he had always liked on late nights, when the apartment felt too small to hold his frustration. He sat on a splintering bench, watched the ducks make lazy patterns on the dark water, and tried to imagine what $2 million looked like as anything other than fantasy. His phone buzzed again. A text this time, from a number he did not have saved but did not need to. We need to talk. This is your last chance to make this go away quietly. Daniel Marcus stared at the words for a long beat, the muscles in his jaw tightening. The old version of him might have rushed to answer, to explain, to apologize for daring to claim something that made his brother uncomfortable. That reflex was still there, coiled somewhere deep, but above it now was something else. He typed back, simply, "Where?" The response came almost instantly. Coffee shop on 7th, 1 hour. The same place he had just left. The place where the truth had first been laid bare on a table that now held the weight of his grandfather's signature and a decade of theft. He texted Crawford first. "He wants to meet," Marcus wrote, "at the cafe, 1 hour. The reply was quick. "Go if you want, but not alone. I'll be there. I'll sit where he can't see me. Record everything. Say nothing you don't want played back in court." Marcus slipped his phone into his pocket, watching the last light drain from the sky. And remember this, before this story ends, 3 simple phrases will be placed in your mouth. 3 morning declarations that crack the spine of every curse described here. They are waiting at the end of this path, but they cannot be spoken into a heart that still believes it deserves chains. So for now, keep walking. The words are waiting. The timing is not random. The coffee shop on 7th felt different in the evening light. The same tables, same chalkboard menu, same hum of conversation. But Marcus saw it all through new eyes now. The chair where Catherine had sat hours earlier. The table where his grandfather's will had lain exposed. The exit where he would walk out either broken or reborn. Daniel was already there, back corner table. Same table Marcus had occupied that afternoon. His brother wore a suit that looked expensive but rumpled, tie loosened, hair slightly disheveled. The golden child, fraying at the edges. A coffee cup sat untouched in front of him. His fingers drummed the table, a nervous tick Marcus had never seen before. Across the room, Crawford slipped in quietly, taking a table by the window, phone positioned casually but deliberately. Marcus felt the lawyer's presence like an invisible shield as he crossed the room and sat opposite his brother. Daniel did not look up immediately. When he finally did, his eyes were hard but tired. "You really doing this?" he asked. "Dragging our family through court, making Mom choose between her sons, destroying everything I built?" Marcus kept his voice even. "Everything you stole." Daniel leaned forward, voice dropping. "That money was always going to be mine. Grandpa just got sentimental at the end. Cancer brain. If he'd been thinking clearly, he never would have changed that will. So you changed it back for him." Marcus's tone was flat. "How generous." "I made the smart choice." Daniel's fingers tightened around his coffee cup. "You think you could handle $500,000 at 22? You would have blown it. Cars, women, drugs, whatever. I took that money and built something real. Jobs, a company, something that mattered. What would you have done with it?" Marcus thought of all the years eating ramen, sleeping on air mattresses, choosing between groceries and gas. "I would have finished college," he said quietly. "I would have had a place that didn't leak when it rained. I would have gone to the dentist when my tooth abscessed instead of waiting until the infection almost killed me. I would have had a life, Daniel. A normal life." Daniel waved a hand dismissively. "And you still can. That's why I'm here. Drop the lawsuit. Sign an NDA. I'll wire you $200,000. Today. Cash. No taxes, no questions. $200,000, Marcus. More money than you've ever—" "My lawyer says $2 million. Marcus interrupted. "Minimum." Daniel laughed, sharp and bitter. "Your lawyer is lying to you. Even if you won, which you won't, it would take years. Years of depositions and motions and appeals. I have resources. I have attorneys who bill $800 an hour. I can bury you in legal fees until you're begging me to settle for $50,000. "No," Marcus said. "You can't, because it's not just civil anymore. Crawford filed criminal fraud this afternoon. The DA's office has the documents. And when Rachel testifies—" "Rachel." Daniel's cup cracked audibly in his grip. Brown liquid seeped across the table. "Rachel won't testify. She already called my lawyer." Marcus watched coffee drip onto his brother's $1,000 trousers. "Told him everything. The spying, the manipulation, the texts where you admit what you did. She's done protecting you." Daniel's face went white. "You turned her against me." "I didn't turn her against you. You made her complicit in felony theft." Marcus stood. "You have until tomorrow to wire the full settlement. Or you go to trial. Your choice." He walked out without looking back. Behind him, Daniel's voice cut through the cafe noise. "This isn't over, Marcus." Outside, Crawford was already on his phone. "Got every word," he said, grinning. "The cracked cup alone is gold. Obstruction of justice. Admissions against interest. The DA's going to love this." Marcus barely heard him. His phone buzzed. Rachel again. He answered this time. "Marcus." Her voice shook. "Thank God. Meet me. Now. Park by the duck pond. 10 minutes. You need to hear this before Daniel gets to you first. Before Rachel opens her mouth and changes everything you thought you knew about love and trust. Understand this. The second spiritual block operates through those closest to you. It weaponizes intimacy, turns vulnerability into chains. And what she's about to confess will make every door that closed, every relationship that failed, every moment you doubted your worth. It will make perfect, painful sense. 10 minutes later, Marcus sat on a weathered park bench overlooking dark water. Ducks slept with heads tucked under wings. Streetlights cast sodium glow across empty paths. Rachel appeared from shadows, walking fast, looking over both shoulders. She'd changed, hair cropped short, carrying tension that aged her 5 years. She sat without asking, staring at the pond. "Thank you for coming," she said. "I know I don't deserve it." "What do you want, Rachel?" She took a shaky breath. "The truth. About us. About everything." Marcus waited. The air smelled of wet grass and distant traffic. "Daniel sent me to you." The words landed like stones. 7 years ago, at your cousin's party, you thought it was chance. I made you think it was chance. But it was a setup. Your grandfather had just died. Daniel had just forged the will. He was terrified you'd figure it out, ask questions, cause problems. So he needed someone close to you, someone who could watch you, report back. Marcus's stomach dropped. "You spied on me." "At first." Her voice cracked. "Just at first. Daniel promised me a job at his firm. Business school debt. No prospects. He said it would be 3 months. Make sure you weren't digging into the estate, then I'd get hired. But then," she looked at him finally, eyes wet. "Then I actually fell for you. For real. Your kindness. The way you listened. The way you made plans like you believed in a future. But you didn't stop reporting. I couldn't." She wiped her face. "Daniel noticed me pulling away. He changed tactics. Said if I really cared about you, I'd leave. Said you'd never make it with someone like me. Too ambitious. You'd resent me for being broke. Made it sound noble, like I was saving you pain. And 2 months later, you were with him." Marcus's voice was ice. "He orchestrated that too." Rachel's hands twisted together. "Said it would be cleaner. Give you someone to hate instead of someone to mourn. Said anger heals faster than sadness." Marcus stood, needing distance, air, space. Ducks stirred, sensing tension. Our entire relationship was a lie. No. She stood too, desperate. The feelings were real. The love was real. I tried to quit reporting. Daniel threatened my job, my visa, everything. Then he played the final card. Showed me bank statements from the year after your grandfather died. Showed me exactly how much he'd stolen. Said if I left you, he'd cut me in. Partnership track. 6 figures. The American dream. And you took it. I took it. Tears streamed freely now. I chose money over you, over decency, and I've hated myself every day since. Silence stretched. A car horn sounded blocks away. Ducks settled back to sleep. "Why now?" Marcus finally asked. Rachel pulled out her phone, hands shaking, and thrust it toward him. Texts. Daniel's texts. From the past week. "Someone's digging. Old secretary from Dad's firm. She might have copies of the real will. If Marcus contacts you, don't answer. Tell me everything. He should have stayed broken. Now I'll remind him what happens when little brothers reach above their station." Marcus scrolled silently. The pond reflected fractured streetlight. Somewhere distant, a siren wailed. "He's scared," Rachel said. "Making calls, moving money. Last night he said something that—" She swallowed. "He said you should have stayed in your lane, that he'd make sure you regretted stepping out of it. He threatened me." Marcus handed the phone back. "Not just threatened, planned." Rachel's voice dropped. "I heard him on the phone this morning, talking about your credit report, your employment history. Said he'd make sure no bank would touch you, no landlord would rent to you. Said he'd bury you under so much debt you'd drop the lawsuit just to breathe." Marcus felt cold clarity settle in. "You're testifying for me." "Yes." No hesitation. "Everything. The spying, the setup, the texts, all of it. Even if it destroys me too." "Why?" Rachel looked at the ducks, then back at him. "Last night I dreamed about your grandfather. Never met him. but I saw his picture at your mom's. He stood at my bed, clear as day, and said, "My grandson needs the truth. It's not too late." I woke up choking, couldn't breathe, knew I couldn't keep this lie anymore. Marcus thought of Catherine's dream. Same grandfather, same message, same 48 hours. "My lawyer's James Crawford," he said. "Texted you his number. Call him first thing tomorrow." Rachel nodded, then stepped forward, hugged him. He stiffened but didn't pull away. When she stepped back, her eyes searched his face. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I know money doesn't fix what I stole from you." "It doesn't," Marcus agreed, "but truth might." She walked away into darkness. Marcus stayed on the bench another 20 minutes, watching ripples spread and fade on black water. Ducks slept undisturbed. Somewhere above the trees, a plane passed, carrying lives untouched by betrayal. He called Crawford. "Rachel's testifying. Has texts. Daniel's planning retaliation. Credit reports, debt, landlords." Silence, then a low whistle. "Your brother just hanged himself. With her testimony plus the documents, criminal conviction, no question. We're not talking settlement anymore. We're talking prison time." "How long until it's over?" Marcus asked. "Faster than you think." Crawford's voice turned businesslike. "Asset freeze hits tomorrow morning. Civil suit served by noon. DA gets Rachel's statement by end of day. Daniel knows by tomorrow afternoon he's radioactive. By Friday," a pause. "Friday, he'll be begging to settle. You could have $2 million in escrow by Monday." $2 million. Monday. 4 days. 48 hours had become 72, then 96. The countdown accelerated. Marcus hung up, staring at silent water. Ducks slept. City hummed beyond trees. Somewhere, Daniel paced. Somewhere, Catherine prayed. Somewhere, his grandfather watched. "Put your hand over your heart right now. Feel it? That quickening. That's not anxiety. That's the second block. The curse of stolen intimacy, losing its grip as Rachel's confession echoes through time, reaching not just Marcus, but you. Feel the weight lifting. That's chains breaking. But there's a third block waiting, darker, more patient, and it explains every almost you've ever experienced." Marcus barely slept. The hotel room felt too clean, too quiet after years of apartment noise. He lay on starched sheets, staring at smooth ceiling, replaying every conversation. Catherine's trembling hands, Daniel's cracked cup, Rachel's tears, Crawford's certainty. At 3:47 a.m., his phone lit up. Unknown number. "Mr. Bennett?" Professional voice. "Richard Carr, counsel for Daniel Bennett, calling to discuss settlement parameters." Marcus fumbled for speakerphone. Crawford's number appeared. Text. "Answer. I'm listening." "Mr. Carr," Marcus said, voice rough from sleeplessness. "What parameters?" "My client offers full restitution of the contested inheritance, plus reasonable interest, estimated at $1.4 million. In exchange, withdrawal of all criminal complaints and confidentiality regarding settlement circumstances." Crawford texted, "Counter hire." "Not enough," Marcus said. $2.2 million. Full restitution plus damages for fraud, emotional distress, lost opportunity, non-negotiable." Muffled voices on Carr's end. Then, $2 million even. Final. Documents by morning. Crawford texted, "Push." 2.1, Marcus said, "and public disclosure to immediate family. My mother knows what he did." More silence, more murmuring. Then Carr. "Agreed. 2.1 million. Family disclosure. Funds wired to escrow by noon tomorrow." The line went dead. Marcus stared at his phone. Crawford called immediately. "You just set a record," the lawyer said, laughing. $2.1 million, settled in under 36 hours. Most cases take years. You moved a mountain. Marcus hung up and lay back down. $2 million. Noon tomorrow. The eviction notice expired in 24 hours. Debt collectors would call at 9, but by noon, sleep finally came, dreamless and deep. 11:58 p.m. Marcus lay on the hotel bed, staring at his banking app. Balance still read 4723. Crawford had warned transfers might process late. Escrow clearances sometimes run overnight, he'd said. Don't panic if it's not there by morning. But Marcus needed to see it. Needed proof this wasn't delusion. Transfer pending. The screen read suddenly. Verification required. 60 seconds remaining. His breath caught. Heart slammed ribs. This was it. The moment. The end of everything. 59. 58. 57. Phone rang. Daniel. Marcus almost ignored it. Answered instead. "You happy now?" Daniel's voice shook with rage. "You destroyed me. Everything I worked for. Gone. You destroyed yourself," Marcus said calmly. "I told the truth. I've hated you since the day you were born." Daniel spat the words. "Everyone made such a fuss. The new baby. The good baby. You were supposed to stay small. Supposed to be grateful for scraps. Not reach for what's mine." 45. 44. 43. "You kept me small," Marcus said. "Mission accomplished. You'll fail." Daniel's voice rose. "Money doesn't change what you are. You'll be broke again in 5 years, and I'll be there watching." 20. 19. 18. "Goodbye, Daniel," Marcus said, and hung up. Phone rang again. "Rachel," he answered. "Just wanted to say," her voice broke, "I'm proud of you. You stood up. Didn't let him win." 10. 9. 8. "Thank you," Marcus said. "Meant it." 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. Screen refreshed. Numbers burned into his eyes. 20,100, 47, 23. $2,100,000.47. Marcus stared until vision blurred with tears. Hotel room spun slowly. Outside, city lights flickered. Somewhere, Daniel's empire crumbled. Somewhere, Rachel started over. Somewhere, Catherine slept peacefully. He whispered into darkness, "Thank you." Halfway through this message, you know what Marcus received. You felt what he felt, but understanding why it came, and what still binds you, is the other half. 3 ancient forces remain unnamed, operating through delays and sabotage you've mistaken for bad luck. Their exposure comes soon, but first, heaven must prepare your heart to carry what your spirit already knows. Marcus woke to sunlight cutting through hotel curtains like judgment. The balance still read 20,100,47.23. Real. His chest felt lighter, but questions heavier. Why now? Why 48 hours exactly? Why dreams to Catherine and Rachel on the same night after 12 years of silence? Crawford texted at 7:03 a.m. All documents signed. Criminal complaint withdrawn per settlement. You're clear. Congrats. Clear. The word echoed strangely. He'd spent decades unclear. Unclear on his worth. Unclear why doors slammed. Unclear why Daniel always landed upright while he spun through failure. Now clarity felt like vertigo. His mother called at 8:17. "Marcus, baby." Her voice cracked. "Daniel told me everything last night. The will. What he did. Oh God, I'm so sorry. I should have known. Should have questioned why Thomas left it all to one son. Mom, you couldn't have known. I believed him." Sobs broke through. "Believed my golden boy over my struggling one. Thought your problems were character flaws. When someone was stealing your life, there's nothing to forgive. Marcus said. Meant it. She was another victim of Daniel's theater. They talked 20 minutes. Plans, healing, whether he could ever face Daniel again. That last question hung unanswered. Forgiveness felt distant, theoretical. Justice had been served. Wasn't that enough? He spent mourning on ordinary acts that felt revolutionary. New clothes that fit. Bank account where tellers smiled instead of sighed. Paid landlord 6 months back. Rent plus termination. Not obligation, but closure. Each transaction peeled away survival skin. But underneath relief stirred something dangerous. Anger. Real anger. Not dull resentment, but white-hot clarity. Daniel stole 12 years. 12 Thanksgivings watching his brother play benefactor. 12 Christmases hearing, Daniel's doing so well. 12 years convincing himself poverty proved his inadequacy. That afternoon, Marcus drove without destination. Past Daniel's darkened office, lights off, parking lot empty. Past grandfather's old house, now stranger's property. Past the cafe, the park, every landmark of unraveling conspiracy. He ended at his old apartment. Eviction notice gone, door unlocked. Inside, a cleaning woman packed his life into cardboard boxes. Landlord said it was abandoned, she said, startled. Need anything? Marcus scanned the space. Air mattress, plastic chair, milk crates, microwave reflecting a man who no longer belonged here. Documents only, shoebox under the mattress. He took the box. Birth certificate, faded photos, tax forms, and left without looking back. Donate the rest, he said over his shoulder, or trash it. I don't care. In parking lot, cleaning woman called after him. Hey, cleared lots of places. Most times it's death or desperation. You're walking away. That's different. He nodded. She was right. He wasn't walking. He was running. From shame's architecture. From prison disguised as home. From proof he'd once been powerless. That evening he met Catherine for dinner. Small Italian place. Checkered cloths. Candlelight. Handwritten menus. She hugged him fiercely. You're different, she said, studying him. Lighter. Feels like I shed something heavy. She nodded. Thomas wanted this for you. Her expression grew serious. There's more. Something I held back. Marcus set down bread. What? A week before he died, Thomas called me late. Couldn't sleep. Said he dreamed you trapped in darkness. Daniel holding the key outside, refusing entry. Woke certain if he didn't change the will, you'd spend life imprisoned. Not physical prison, he said. Something worse. Marcus's throat tightened. He saw it. I believe so. Catherine pressed an envelope into his hand. He gave me this the day he signed the new will. If this takes years to surface, he said, give Marcus when timing's right. I think it's right. Marcus felt paper's weight through jacket pocket. Thank you. For everything. For doing right eventually. She smiled sadly. Now, live the life Thomas saw for you. What Catherine doesn't know, what Marcus can't yet comprehend, is that his grandfather's dream wasn't isolated. Same night, Rachel dreamed of Thomas. Same week, Catherine felt compelled after 12 years. Invisible architecture positioned every player exactly when heaven decreed. And you're living parallel orchestration right now, though your eyes see only delays. Hotel room that night felt cavernous. Marcus pulled grandfather's envelope from pocket at 2:17 a.m., unable to wait for morning. Single page. Thomas's shaky handwriting. Marcus, if you're reading this, Daniel did what I feared. You've spent years thinking you weren't enough. None of it true. You're enough. Always were. Struggles weren't punishment. They were theft. Spiritual warfare through someone who should have protected you. But you survived. Stronger than Daniel, who built on sand. Stronger than fear itself. Take inheritance. Use wisely. But remember, your worth was never tied to money. It's divine, unstealable. Bennetts don't stay broken. Love you always. Watching you rise. Grandpa Marcus read 3 times. Pressed letter to chest. Sobs shook him. Decades of swallowed grief pouring out. For boy who stopped asking. For college dropout working construction. For every family shame moment manufactured into failure. When tears dried, something fundamental shifted. Voice whispering not enough for 32 years went silent. Wait, Catherine noticed. Gone. Irreversibly. He slept deeply, dreaming of grandfather in sunlit garden, younger, strong, smiling. You did it, Thomas said. Stood up. Fought back. Sorry it took 12 years. Time works differently here. Old Spice and pipe tobacco scent. What matters? You're free. Now choose. Stay angry at Daniel, or release. Not for him, for you. Bitterness imprisons too. Marcus woke at dawn, grandfather's words echoing. Release. Not for Daniel, for you. Could he? Anger felt justified, earned. But prison was prison. That day he signed apartment lease. 2 bedrooms, sunlight, functioning appliances, ordered furniture, grocery shopped without mental math. Normalcy felt defiant. Phone buzzed. Rachel. Quit Daniel's firm today. Can't work for him anymore. Thought you should know. Marcus. Thanks for truth. Cost you something. Rachel. Cost everything. Should have paid 3 years ago. Evening brought mother's house. First time in months. She hugged like apology. Daniel's here, she whispered. Told him you two needed to face each other. Marcus tensed, wanted to flee, but mother's hope held him. Okay. Daniel sat couch, defeated. New lines around eyes, gray hair Marcus hadn't noticed. Tesla gone from driveway, repossessed. I'm sorry, Daniel said to floor. Marcus sat opposite, waited. Everything. Will, Rachel, sabotage, all of it. Okay. Daniel looked up, eyes wet. I know you don't believe me, but I need you to know I never thought what it cost you. Just what I gained. Building empire, proving superior, making dead man proud. Pretty stupid. Daniel laughed bitterly. Lost everything. Company bankrupt. House foreclosing. Rachel gone. Friends vanished. Just me now. Nothing. Silence. Marcus waited for rage that didn't come. Only exhaustion. Why? Marcus asked. Could have built own success. Why steal mine? Daniel stared at hands. Terrified of you. Me? Of who you'd become with equal chance. Daniel's voice broke. Always the nice one. People liked you naturally. Grandpa looked at you like treasure. Me like tool. When he split will 50-50 confirmed fear. You'd eclipse me. So I kept you small. Confession hung heavy. Marcus waited for triumph. Felt only pity. Want forgiveness? Marcus asked. Don't deserve it. Daniel wiped eyes. But yes. Not there yet. Marcus stood. Won't spend life hating you either. Letting go. For me. Daniel nodded, tears falling. More than I deserve. Marcus left without ceremony. In car, Daniel's earlier words returned. Someone orchestrated this. Been watching 12 years. Too many perfect timings. Catherine's sudden courage. Rachel's dream. Settlement speed. Dreams converging same week after decade silence. Felt less like justice, more like symphony. Less coincidence, more composition. We approach the heart now, where 4 spiritual architects, ancient forces with names and legal rights, will be called out, where 3 mourning declarations wait to shatter what money alone cannot touch, and where you discover who conducted this entire operation, who sent dreams across time, who timed 60 seconds with celestial precision. Prepare. What remains will reframe everything that came before. Dawn broke cold and clear. Marcus's phone lit up at exactly 5:47 a.m. with a new email. Sender: a friend in high places. Subject: the 4 blocks, the 3 words, your freedom. His pulse quickened as he opened it, standing barefoot on hotel carpet, city waking beyond the window. Marcus, you've survived the countdown, received the breakthrough. Now understand what held you, and how to ensure those chains never reform. The 4 spiritual blocks that bound your finances, destiny, bloodline have names, ancient names. As each is spoken, you'll feel shift in your spirit. That's them being identified. That's enemy losing legal claim. Block 1, bloodline, curse of envy, passes generationally, turning family against family, operates through jealousy masked as love, relatives celebrating publicly, cursing privately. Gave Daniel legal right because this pattern began generations ago. One sibling betrayed another for gain. Feeds on comparison. If they rise, I fall. Strengthened every time Daniel stole from you. Every pity payment you accepted fed it unknowingly. But it's broken now, shattered when you demanded justice. Block 2, curse of stolen intimacy, weaponizes closest relationships. Rachel deployed it recently but operated since childhood. Teaching closeness equals betrayal. Vulnerability equals chains. Kept you isolated from partnerships, networks, help that would have lifted you. Fed on heartbreak. Every Rachel tear strengthened hold. Every skipped family gathering gave power. Wanted you alone, disconnected from resources. Exposed by her confession, it died in light. Block 3, spirit of delayed destiny. Looks like bad timing. Missed connections. Opportunities arriving weeks late, vanishing days early. Demonic delays masquerading as divine. Legal right from ancestral agreements broken generations ago. Vows unfulfilled, callings abandoned. Consequences rippled forward, landing on you. Every second choice interview. Every apartment lost by hours. Every loan denied despite credit. Held you suspended 12 years, not succeeding, not failing, just waiting. 48 hours ago, assignment expired. Legal claim ended. Everything held back flooded in 2 days. Block 4, principality of financial sabotage, high-ranking demon, Mammon's lieutenant, orders from hell. Keep Marcus broke, keep him survival-focused, Colin distracted. Worked through agents, Daniel, Rachel, banks, but powered by your beliefs. I'm bad with money. Rich people different. Never get ahead. Each thought granted authority. Specialized in death by paper cuts, car repairs, medical bills, rent hikes, job losses when savings grew. Small enough for bad luck, cumulative enough for oppression. Persistence broke it. Most quit by year 5. You kept working, hoping, believing. Couldn't hold you forever. 2 million in 60 seconds cast it out permanently. No more legal right to your finances. Marcus read each block twice. Recognition hit physically. Chest tightening, then releasing with each name. Patterns he'd lived, unnamed, gained power through invisibility. Named, they crumbled. Email continued. Now the 3 morning words. Declarations sealing this breakthrough, preventing return. Not spells. Authority reclamation. Heaven waited for you to speak them. 1. I receive. Present tense. Heaven released blessing years ago. Daniel delayed delivery, not existence. I receive claims what's already yours. 2. I release. Cannot grasp new holding old pain. Release Daniel's betrayal. Rachel's lies. Poverty shame. Victim identity. What you clutch, clutches you. 3. I arise. Not will arise someday. I arise now, from ashes into divine identity. Not poverty's definition, not betrayal's label. Chosen, called, favored. 4th word, secret most never reach. For finishers, 4. I command. Full authority. Not just receiving blessings, commanding manifestation. Not just releasing curses, commanding banishment. I command finances align with heaven. I command closed doors reopen. I command favor everywhere. I command poverty flee me and descendants. Activation, 40 mornings. Face east. Before phone, food, anything. I receive, I release, I arise, I command. Hand on heart. Heaven's economy now mine. Stolen restored. Delayed released. Blocked flowing. I am free. Marcus faced east window. Sunrise bled orange across rooftops. He spoke. I receive. Voice cracked. I release. I arise. I command. Each word stronger. Room pressure shifted. Air thickened, then cleared. Hand on heart. Heaven's economy now mine. Stolen restored. Delayed released. Blocked flowing. I am free. Silence absolute. Then phone buzzed. Final email. Well done. Completed 48-hour journey. Broke generational curses. Restored bloodline. Proved heaven keeps promises, even after 12 years. Never just about you. About your children never fighting these battles. About being generation breaker. Go live promised life. When asked how eviction became millions in 48 hours, tell truth, not luck. Divine countdown. Their countdown comes next. A friend. Marcus stood 10 minutes as sun rose. Understood. Catherine's documents. Rachel's dreams. Crawford's speed. Grandfather's letter. All orchestrated across 12 years for this precise moment. 3 months later, Thomas Bennett Foundation launched. Catherine directed. Rachel coordinated legal aid. Crawford on board. Helped 63 people. Recovered 12 million stolen inheritances. Daniel worked normal job out of state. Quieter. Humbled. Marcus sent one text. I forgive. Not for you. For me. Daniel never replied. Didn't matter. Dawn. 3-month mark. Marcus faced east. I receive. I release. I arise. I command. Hand on heart. Heaven's economy now mine. Stolen restored. Delayed released. Blocked flowing. I am free. Sunrise perfect. Marcus smiled. Breakthrough never luck or timing. Heaven's countdown. Precise. Orchestrated. When 0 hits, enemies scatter. Doors open. Promises manifest. Your countdown runs now. Eyes reading these words mark its start. 60 seconds, 48 hours, or mid-journey. You're exactly where heaven placed you. Watch. Wait. Receive.